Batgirl issue 9, Tate BROMBAL writing with TAKESHI MIYAZAWA on the art. So nice to have Miyazawa back on the book.
Yes.
This does lead out directly from what we were doing before, with Cass getting off the train and looking for Bronze Tiger. Although this issue, before we get to kind of the payoff to that, we introduced the fact that there's 3 assassins coming for Cass. We have, I mean, it's not until later we get the actual like names and what clans they come from.
Yeah.
But there's 3 very different assassins all on the way. One's from the Unburied, one's from whatever. We'll get to it later because we get to those pages. I can't remember them off the top of my head.
They're very Kill Bill. Just the way that they sword number 1 and the distance away from Batgirl they are, and then sword number 2, and yeah, there's just very I don't know. It's not a pulpiness, but I'm lacking the right word for it.
I mean, there's a bit of a pulpiness.
About it.
There's a bit of a pulpiness. Yeah. I think it's not in a bad way. It's just kind of a fun, simple idea. It makes you excited, and then the issue actually ends with the first one showing up. Well, that's what the cliffhanger is, because once we get into the main part of the issue, it's mostly a conversation between 2 characters. It's Cass talking to Bronze Tiger and wanting answers. And she shows up on a horse. We get this full page spread of Cass on a horse in her Batgirl outfit. It's really quite something. But Cass shows up and demands to know what is the Jade Tiger. And the Bronze Tiger just keeps kind of dodging the question. I loved her narration here, whereas he's like saying stuff and trying to steal the conversation, she's kind of like describing it as like fighting moves, where she's like, that was a jab, that was a cover-up, that was a parry, he's trying to cross us into something else. Like she keeps kind of like doing that, and then it does the thing with the art where it keeps going back to panels of the kettle, which is like boiling. So the idea that it represents the conversation bubbling up and getting more heated until the tensions are going to rise and kind of eventually break. So, and it does reference things that we got in the backstory where Bronze Tiger talks about being with Shiva's sister, and how he was close with her, and how they kind of tried to be heroes and it all fell apart and all the rest of it. So, I actually really enjoyed it. As much as it's mostly a conversation, I think it's really well paced, and the way it kind of keeps escalating. And Cass obviously just looks angry like the whole time because he won't talk about what she wants him to actually talk about.
The furrowed eyes are doing so much work.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because it's so full of expression despite the fact that, her mask lacks expression, right? So the fact that the artist is being able to navigate it in that way is really, really good stuff.
Yeah, they reference the past of Bronze Tiger being one of the ones that helped train her. Although he does acknowledge or point out that wasn't really him because he was brainwashed and being controlled, which I'm assuming that's in an old Batgirl series or something, but I didn't know that, so that's interesting. So, yeah, things get a bit more heated, and when she tries to get a fight going with him, and he's trying to, like, not do it. He's trying to, like, just kind of calm things down or kind of evade, but she's like, no, tell me what the hell the Jade Tiger is. This is the reason my mother sent me here. What is the Jade Tiger? And out comes this young guy in green who breaks up the fight. And of course, before they even say it, you're like, oh, this is Jade Tiger. Jade Tiger's a person. This is why she was sent here. And you're like, oh, what are they about to reveal about who this guy is? And it doesn't take a bit of rocket science, but the revelation here is that Jade Tiger is Cassie's half-brother. This is a child that Bronze Tiger had with Shiva. So the idea that after Shiva's sister was killed, at some point Shiva and Bronze Tiger got a bit smoochy, and it led to a brother for Cass.
Look, this is not going to do anything good for Cass's mom issues. Because the whole thing with Shiva and not wanting to be her mom, and like her being a weapon and not having any value outside of that with David Kane. Now there's another kid that she had with Bronze Tiger that Cass didn't even know about.
And presumably this kid that she had with Bronze Tiger was not something that, because she with David Kane, it was like David Kane's like, I've got this plan. I want the ultimate child. You're going to give me a child. This kid might have been, I wouldn't say out of love, because I don't know if she was in a mood to love after her sister was killed, but at the very least there was like genuine passion perhaps between her and Bronze Tiger. I don't think they were just aiming to have a kid. I mean, who knows? Who knows? Maybe we'll find out otherwise, but at least right now
Yeah, grief makes people do weird things, right? But
Yeah.
the fact that the whole feeling of Cass that she was unwanted. Now there's this other kid here that seemingly is wanted because he's with Bronze Tiger, right? He's kept hidden. Uh, no one's after Jade Tiger, it looks like, you know, in the way that they're after Cass. So, you know, there's all these levels that going on for her. And my heart goes out for her.
Yeah. I mean,
you know,
arguably he's still unwanted, but more in a traditional sense where it was just an accidental pregnancy as opposed to Cassie's whole thing.
Yeah. What I mean by unwanted is her whole vibe with her mom and feeling like Shiva just always treated her like, you know, not a weapon, but like she was always there. There was none of that maternal stuff until, you know, kind of reading this. And that's what Tate Brombal kind of brought to those first, you know, couple issues. So yeah, and just the fact that there's this other kid here and in addition to the family, and how's Cass going to take that? Because we know how she is with family now, right? She considers Bruce her dad. So, you know, and what does he do? He collects children. You know, so is she going to be more open to this? I hope so, right? Because this is, you know, another, you know, not an ally per se, but another person that she can share, you know, commonalities with.
Yeah, and they build to this reveal in the art with, because when Bronze Tiger says, oh, she's like the greatest fighter on the planet, Jade Tiger's like, oh yeah, finally a challenge, I've been waiting for this. So we get this fight scene that plays out over a 2-page layout, and Cass is like, wait, I recognize this training, there's Bronze Tiger in these skills, there's Shiva in these skills, this kid's been trained by a lot of the same people, although not David Kane, obviously. Right. And ultimately she says, well, how do you know Shiva? And, you know, she's like, how do you know my mother? And she gets right in his face. It's a super tense moment. And Bronze Tiger is actually yelling, don't. Like, he doesn't want him to reveal who he is. And then this is when he's like, wait, you're Cassandra Cain. Up until this point, I don't think we even realized that he wouldn't know who's under the mask. He kind of clocks it when she says that Shiva's her mother. And he's like, oh, I'm Tenji Turner. I'm Shiva's son, along with Bronze Tiger there. And I love how the art draws like one eyebrow up behind her mask. There's like a sort of confusion as she says what to that. I was kind of into that reveal.
Also, he says he's the son of two of the world's greatest heroes, Bronze Tiger and Lady Shiva. I would not consider either of those heroes. So how sheltered is he as well?
Well, you know? I almost don't read it as that, though. Like, I think that Bronze Tiger has his anti-hero stories here or there, so I can kind of see where he's coming from with that. To me, what this suggests is that there's a whole side to Shiva that Cass has never seen, and that's going to, like, further this idea of, like, oh, there's a whole, like, nice side to her that she never even showed me, but this other kid was getting to see all this heroic stuff that she's been doing. So I think it's going to, like, further kind of wedge that, and I really like the callback to the start of this issue, because I remember how I said her narration talks about how Bronze Tiger's jabbing, he's covering up, he's trying to deflect the conversation. As her brother Tenji starts to like say, hey, I'm your brother Cassie, and he starts talking to her, I mean, even just calling her Cassie feels like most people don't refer to her that way, and he's trying to like talk to her and like kind of like get to know her or whatever, and she's saying no, stop, and her narration is saying I evade, I cover up, I jab. And now she's on the defensive in this conversation, and it's showing that she wasn't prepared for this. She went into this like house all confident. She's here for answers. She's going to be in charge of the fight, the conversation the whole time. And now she's caught off guard, and now she's the one who's like trying to evade and be defensive about it. I really like that kind of flip from the start of the issue, and it shows that this revelation's gotten to her. I don't mind this reveal for what it's worth. Like I think that it like. Because I don't think that this is ever going to be a thing where all of a sudden, like, we're going to have this brother of Cassandra be like this character who's constantly around her, right? Like that. It feels more like it's important for her story, and the idea that like there's other sides to Shiva she didn't know about, and this is someone else you can have maybe a weird relationship with, but probably healthier than Shiva, because this guy seems a bit nicer than Shiva ever did. So, you know, maybe it'd be good for her to kind of try and, you know, have someone to like see as a brother, or see as someone she can confide in, or something like that. I don't know. It's I think there's a lot of storytelling potential here, and I think the way she feels uncomfortable and reacting to it and trying to deny that it's real says a lot about her character and how she feels about this right now. That makes me excited to explore. And then obviously the last page right after this is the first assassin. This is Norbu from the Untested. Sorry,
Norbu the Untested from the Unburied.
That's what I was meant to say.
Yes.
The Unburied.
Yep.
And my eye glanced at Untested. So yeah. Who has the finisher, the Blue Blossom Omni Strike. I like that each of these are going to get finishers like the wrestlers, but alright.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I also like in the art when Cass is reacting to everything, there's that red background behind her where, you know, everything's in focus with them, and then the eye jab, and she shoves him like to the ground as she's trying to get space, you know. Like she doesn't want to accept this. Like he's bringing it in, but she still hasn't processed it. So again, the art's doing some really cool stuff with body language.
I think it's that, but I think it's also this idea that the background goes red as she's in like super evade mode, but when she pushes him down to the ground, it goes back to just the normal background, the sky, the fence, whatever. But then when you hear the assassins show up and saying Batgirl, it goes red again behind her. And to me, that's indicating it's red in the background because she's on alert, she's on the defensive. And it comes back and like the actual, so it tells you in hindsight that those earlier two panels are her on the defensive. They're her with her guard up. So there's a lot of smart stuff going on in the storytelling here, and I think that for a book that is mostly a conversation between two characters, it does a really good job of pacing it well and making it feel like it's building to a crescendo, building to like big revelations, and then the revelation that no, Shiva told her to come here so that she'd find out she has a brother. That's ultimately why Shiva sent her here, seemingly, right? It's not because there's something else that she wants Cassandra to do. It's more, oh, she should know she's got a brother. She should like be able to, you know, build a bridge there and maybe form some kind of bond or something. So I don't know. I think this is really good stuff. Like I was not super hot in the last two issues, especially the one couple ago, just because I thought it was really wordy, and I thought the backstory with Shiva was like kind of just bearing down on everything. I think this issue, though, took some of the things we learned in the last issue and had it come up in a more casual way, and I think the reveal about the brother is actually really interesting for Cassie's character. So, no, I'm pretty on board with this.
I know they're all the same amount of pages, but this read so much quicker, right, than a lot of the other stuff, which was a lot of exposition backstory in the last two issues.
Yes.
So I appreciate that for sure. But yeah, no, really, really good stuff, man. I'm still enjoying this Batgirl book.
Yeah, just really smart sequencing. The art's doing a lot of good stuff to really give you the sense of all these different things. Also, Cass like hits her brother into like the pen outside, you know, for the sheep or whatever it is. And I'm just laughing at that because I'm looking back at that panel now. It's like he's going over the top rope just because I referenced the assassin have a finishing move. It's almost like they're actually in a wrestling ring right now with this fence around them. So yeah. I'm excited to see how the other two assassins show up, and I'm excited to see Cass reluctantly bond with her brother, and you know where that comes, and maybe where that leads down the line. Is this someone she can call in for help down the line when she's in the Birds of Prey? She's like, hey, I've got someone we can call in. I've got a brother or something, you know. Also, do we get like a sweet moment where she introduces him to the Bat family, and she's like, hey, Tenji, here's my 4 other brothers. This is Nightwing, this is Robin, this is Red Robin.
You have some major competition. God, you know she wants to pit Damien against him because they're both like these adept fighters. And it's like, oh yeah, Tenji, Damien is the best fighter I've ever seen. You know, and just watch him go off.
Yeah, but who's that a prank on? Is that a prank on Damien so that Damien will get beat up, or is it a prank on Tenji because he has to put up with Damien for the rest of the day?
I would think it's on Tenji. It's how he earns his marks. You know, because we know he's a skilled fighter. Like he goes toe to toe with Cass, so you know he is good.
Yeah, but ultimately loses is the thing. Cass is still the best.
Yes,
worth mentioning.
Yes.
All right, what are you giving Batgirl, Matt?
I'm giving this an 8.5.
Yeah, honestly, I have a hard time disagreeing with that. 8.5 for me as well.